In this video, I want to go over why it's beneficial to be a solo founder. A lot of business advice is out there talking about the benefits of being part of a team, having co-founders, bouncing ideas off each other, sharing the workload. But I want to counter that in this video. I want to go why it can be beneficial to be a solo founder by yourself, building your own SaaS. So let's go over the first benefit here. That's going to be less complex overall. You don't have to focus on managing another founder. There's no managing egos here. It's you and yourself. You get in an argument with a founder that can be pretty disastrous to a business. It's actually one of the reasons most startups fail. It's the dissolution and the tension and the arguments between founders that can really slow you down. You know how draining an argument can be. If you're in your personal life with your friends or family, they can consume so much of your emotional attention along with just so much of your time trying to deal with them. Humans are complex beings and there are many things that go into managing how they feel. The next reason why it's less complex is there's no splitting of equity. There's no deciding you should get 60%, you should get 40%. Maybe I should get more because I bring more value to the table. Or if you're the one who thought of the idea, you might feel cheated if you brought someone else on and they're demanding equal or more equity. And that right off the bat can create tension in the business. There's also going to be no sharing of responsibilities. I know I've started smaller companies in the past with friends, and there can be a lot of tension that builds onto your personal relationship if one person is doing more work than the other. There's money on the line, there's time on the line. If you don't feel like the split is equal here or it's reflective of what percentage you own of the company, this can just demotivate you as you're working. The next benefit of going solo is that you're going to keep more of the wealth. You're going to need a lower bar of success to sustain yourself as you're not going to be sharing profits with somebody else. $5,000 a month in revenue could be enough to sustain you where you can work on your SaaS full time, but it may not be and is probably not going to be enough for multiple founders, as you're just going to divide that profit pie in however many founders there are. This ties back to the sharing of responsibilities and people not doing their fair share of work. If you're doing most of the work and you're not keeping most of the wealth, that's going to be hard to keep you motivated as things progress. And the third and final benefit here is that you don't have to answer to anyone. You get the choice to decide what you should be working on every day. There's no one nagging you to do this, no other founder pushing you to that. Although if you decide to have employees or contractors, you will still be the boss there. And although you will technically want to answer to customers and provide them with the best features, the best product, and so on, at the end of the day, it still is your decision. You are the founder of the company, the owner of the company. If you're a solo founder, you're going to have what is most likely 100% of the equity. So it is your choice to make, and you do have the final say. So this is going to conclude the video here on why go solo. For me, it is the way to go, especially with these small to medium bootstrapped SaaS products. You don't need 4 founders to run this. I'm not trying to scale to $1 billion in revenue, manage tens or thousands of employees. I can run this myself here, and having 2 founders for a lot of the products I run, just about every product actually, is just going to be redundant. There's often not enough work to fill a full day for me. I've managed to automate most things, so I'm really happy I didn't try to bring on another founder. It also made things easier as I was able to work on my SaaS full time rather than having to wait or get another job or anything along those lines, because I was able to keep all of the profit for myself, and that was enough to sustain me. Welcome to the idea generation section. This set of videos is going to cover different frameworks and processes, as well as things to think about when creating an idea for your own SaaS business. It's going to cover video sections such as building painkillers and not vitamins, how to create win-wins for you and the customer, different techniques for generating ideas, different ways to look at problems, to find solutions and ideas such as scratching your own itch. I'll also go through community searching, so where you can find existing problems in different niches. It's also going to cover how to choose your niche and your audience, this way you're not hamstringing yourself from the very onset. Let's go over the 4 key zones. It's a really useful framework for targeting different problem areas, as they're quite broad, but they're things that people look for everywhere, and every person has these problems. So what are they? So your micro SaaS may cross among multiple categories, as you may be in 1, 2, or all of them depending on your product. But really there are 4 key things people want to do. It's make money, save time, and save effort. So let's go over the first one. It's basically making money. Can you increase the revenue of the business you're helping, of the customer you're helping? Can you help them generate more sales or more profit? Can you also help do things such as increase conversions, which will help increase the revenue? Targeting this problem area makes it really easy to sell your product. Let's say you increase sales or conversion rate by 10%, maybe for a client or business that's $2,000 a month and your product costs $100 a month, it's pretty easy to make that justification of I'm going to continue paying for this basically as long as it's profitable, as I'm making more money than I'm paying. So definitely very easy to convince someone there. Examples of this are apps such as FOMO or Zipify Upsell. FOMO is a scarcity app that helps increase sales, trust, and credibility, and it's basically automated social proof. So we look at the bottom left here, you're basically just going to get pop-ups that people are visiting the website, people are purchasing things, and it's creating that sense of scarcity that's similar to visiting popular stores in real life. There's a huge line coming out of a store. You're going to be curious what's going on, what store is this, why is it so popular? You might think, should I go in there? Should I go buy something? Because everyone else is loving it. And so it's a way to create this online. And so if you're increasing the conversion rate, you're increasing sales, and you can make more money for the customers of your micro SaaS. The next example is Zipify Upsell. So it's basically one-click upsells, and they're really popular on Shopify. You can see they've generated over $550 million of additional revenue. They have over 94,000 customers. So it's a pretty easy justification as to why people should be using this app, as everyone likes to generate more revenue and make more money. The next problem area is saving money. So where are companies spending lots of money where they can potentially save? Is it a large monthly subscription? Are they paying for too many seats? Is your micro SaaS cheaper? Does your SaaS aggregate other several services that they'd be paying for? So for example, there's a lot of bundle apps. We take a look at a Shopify app. This one's called Vitals. It's all-in-one marketing. So they basically took a lot of apps people were paying for, from review apps, upsell apps, bundle apps, replay apps, pop-ups, and 40 plus more, and they bundled it into one monthly price. So if you're a Shopify store, instead of just having a bunch of different monthly subscriptions, having to set up a bunch of different apps, you can get it all in one here. Your SaaS might also have one main feature that customers are looking for, and you can take that and just make your whole product around that. As this one main feature might be available in other businesses and SaaS applications, but it's bundled with a bunch of things they don't need. So if you can know what that feature is, you can target it and specifically just focus on that. Make your micro SaaS one of the best, if not the best, at doing that specific thing. Saving money might also be more relevant now too, as we've seen a lot of tech businesses especially start to lay off a lot of employees, really all around different company sizes. So everyone is looking to save money. There's that aura of a recession in the air. So rather than making more money, people might be in more of a restrictive mindset and they're looking to save money. I know ProfitWell really looked into this. I believe it was a split test saying we're focusing on saving money versus making money. And they found in this environment and recently, it's better to focus on the saving money aspect. This may change depending on when you're launching your micro SaaS, but I thought it might be a little nice anecdote to tell. So the third problem area is saving time. So can you automate something someone was doing manually? Can you speed up the process so not spending hours, maybe they're spending just minutes? People can justify this easily as, let's say someone is making $400 an hour, pretty high sum, but if you can save them 3 hours a day, they can take 3 hours multiplied by their hourly rate. That gives a saving of $1,200. So let's take a look at some examples. This one's called Superhuman. It's the fastest email experience ever made. It's blazingly fast, delightful, and you can get 3 hours back every single week. It's meant for power users of emails. You can see they have tons of company using it. Essentially going to use a lot of keyboard commands rather than clicking around. They also made it load extremely fast as they took away a lot of the bloat that email providers do use, and they're charging $30 a user per month. Another obvious example here is ChatGPT. I'm sure you've used it at this point, but if you're a writer, it's going to save you a lot of time. And although most people are probably using the free plan, it can be an easy justification to go up to the paid plan if you're saving a lot of time and you want those power features. Another example would be Zapier, which allows for no-code automation, and they have integrations with over thousands of apps, so they make it really simple to set up for everyone. It's just going to save you so much time. So really just about any workflow where you want to integrate data into something else, or you want to trigger data from doing something else, Zapier can help with that. The fourth problem area is going to be saving effort. So it can cross over a little bit with saving time, as your SaaS application might do both of those things. But if you look at the areas of value, it's not just time, because if you subdivide that, it's attention. And so attention is going to be focus, willpower, and effort. And that's actually much more scarce than time, as you can spend time watching TV, but it's going to take very little attention and effort. So you can save someone the effort of doing something by maybe automating that can make their lives much easier. And they can use that effort and attention for other things in their business or their life. So examples can be Dropbox. So you don't have to manually transfer files. That was one of the big selling points when it first released. There are 700 million users now, but overall it saves them, especially at the original premise from taking your files, uploading them on a USB drive, and then transferring them into another laptop. You can have it all synced in one place and access them from anywhere. Another example would be Slack. One of the more hidden benefits when it came out is that it makes onboarding much easier for new employees. And it's going to save them tons of effort of getting up to speed and finding out what's going on. As with email, it's all private. So let's say you're an employee, you're new to an organization, you get an empty inbox. So you don't really know what's going on. If something happened 2 weeks before you arrived, 6 months before you arrived, you have to go and ask around for that information. But with Slack, if you get added to a thread, you can go back and find out exactly what was said. You can get context and understanding really quickly without having to ask a bunch of people what's going on. So those are the 4 key zones or 4 key problem areas. They are making money, saving time, and saving effort. So your microsas, again, may cross over several of these. These are really key areas to target, and they can really help justify your pricing and justify and convince people why they should be using your microsas. In this video, I just want to go over an overview of the idea generation framework here. So this is kind of just a framework to encapsulate everything that we'll go over when you're generating ideas. The first part of this is just the overall framework and how you want to think of these ideas. So I saw this on Twitter, and I think this is a great value little piece here to help think about your ideas. And so there are 3 parts to this. The first one is value. So what the customer gets. The second part is the price. So it's what they pay. So what the customer is going to pay. The third one is going to be cost, what it costs you. And so you're looking for these ideas where 1 is greater than 2 and greater than 3. You're trying to find ideas where the value is greater than the price, greater than the cost. Now this is going to be hard to achieve here. It takes most SaaS startups to do some testing and some validation before they actually get this. But if you can achieve this, you're really going to satisfy that criteria of building something people want at a price point they want. Most companies actually don't even get here, but it is something nice to think about when you're looking at different ideas. Next, let's take a look at different insights. So idea generation is going from an insight that you have based on your own complex set of experiences. These would be where the ideas come from. So they can be things such as learned experiences. So you've actually gone through the process, observed experiences, or following the trends. These are going to give you clues on what you can build. So as an example, if you look at Ryan Chesky of Airbnb, that learned experience he had of renting a room from someone in their home, and his experience of renting his own room out to guests in the city because hotels were really expensive at the time, gave him a learned experience of what eventually became Airbnb. It's that unique insight he had based on his own set of problems and experiences that led him to create something new. The takeaway from this is look around your life, look at your work. If you're working an existing job or if you're running an existing business, look at the problems you're having, things you would automate, optimize, and that other people would find useful. The last part of this video is just going to be talking about don't kill ideas. So during idea generation, it's very easy to just say, this idea is not going to make any money. This idea is not going to work out at all. But you don't really know that when you're just thinking of random ideas. It's going to stop the creative process. And you also hurt the creative process. So if you're discussing ideas with someone or you're writing ideas down yourself, don't focus on the validity of the ideas. If you think it's going to be successful, just keep on writing them down. We'll go over several different techniques for idea generation going forward, but I just want you to keep that in mind. So this is what this whole video was about here. There's 3 things you want to keep in mind when generating ideas. The first one is if you can ever achieve this framework, it can be very beneficial, but it is something nice to think about along the way. The second one would be insights. So these can come from your learned experiences, observed experiences, or following the trends. Lastly, it would be don't kill ideas right off the bat. Don't kill the vibe when you're generating them. Keep the creativity process going. This video is going to cover the overall process in terms of which to think of your ideas for your SaaS product. So the concept behind this video is one that you're probably familiar with, but it's worth restating to start with the problem, not the solution. Because if you start with the problem, it allows you to truly identify customer needs and wants prior to building your solution. You can address these challenges head on. You can create a solution that truly resonates with your target audience, making it more likely they're going to choose your product over the competition. You're solving a real problem. Because if you start with the solution instead, you might miss the pain point you're trying to solve. So let's use an example to bring this all together. Let's say you're trying to build another to-do list app. Probably don't want to do this as it's a pretty competitive space, but you might start off with copying all the other features from every other successful app you've seen and the features you like best. But let's say with the audience you're targeting, you go and talk to them after building your app, you do some customer interviews, and you find out maybe that they struggle with time management because they have trouble prioritizing tasks and they get distracted by social media or other time-wasting activities. So if that's your audience, you probably built the wrong features, because your features might cover really easy to-do list creation, scheduling, tagging of tasks. In reality, your version of this to-do list app would have been better off focusing on eliminating distractions. Maybe it uses AI to follow everything they do on their computer and make suggestions on how they can prioritize their time. A good way to think about this is the solution is going to be pulled from the problem. It's going to leak out by discovering really what the problem is. And it's so much easier to see that rather than trying to find a solution that fits a problem, because if you focus on the solution first, you might end up building something that really doesn't address any problems, and that's going to be extremely hard to sell. So start with the problem and not the solution when going through your ideas. Let's talk about choosing a niche for your SaaS product. If you're not familiar with the concept of a niche, it's a market segment where certain products or services are in demand. Niche markets can cater towards geographic locations, cultures, occasions, or activities. So really what this means is you're picking a specific market segment. There's different ways to narrow this down. Maybe you're narrowing down by people who are interested in golf. Maybe you're picking age demographics, 18 to 24. Maybe you're picking men or women. You can also do industries. Let's say your niche is SaaS founders, people who sell on Shopify, plumbers, electricians. Really anything can be narrowed down into a niche. And so because there are so many out there, it'd be really hard to narrow down what niche you should be targeting. So let me give you some overall concept to help you think about a specific niche if you're curious about one, and if you're having a hard time deciding if it's a good one to follow. So first, let's look at the concept of broad to narrow. Your SaaS product isn't going to have the ability to do anything. Rather, you want to focus on specific pain points or a pain point to focus on solving. You want to pick a very narrow segment. You may be thinking that this is the wrong thing to do. You should be targeting a broad customer base, because if you don't narrow yourself down, you can sell to everyone. It's been shown that picking a very narrow segment is actually better, not only for selling to that specific set of customers, but people overall. This is because customers can identify with specific problems that a niche may have, and they can identify with those. If we take a look at the broad to narrow concept overall, if you were to take an idea such as calendar booking, you can really narrow this down to something much more specific, which is going to make it much easier for you to target them, not only through different ad platforms if you're using that, but it allows you to create content specifically for them, whether that's through blogs or videos or social media. Targeting a specific audience in a niche makes them much easier to find. So if you take a concept such as calendar booking, maybe from there you determine that you want to go calendar booking for appointments where you can prepay, and maybe you want to go one step further saying you want to do calendar booking for plumbers where you can prepay. Maybe this is an audience you've identified and a niche that you've identified. You could also go one down further and say, I want to build a calendar booking tool for plumber companies with 10 plus plumbers where you can prepay. You're taking your niche of calendar booking and you're intersecting it with the niche of plumbers who have over 10 plus employees. And this is going to give you a narrow segment to target rather than trying to get features for everyone who is looking for a calendar booking tool. That's not to say there isn't use for more of a generic tool, but because you've narrowed things down, it just makes the whole process easier and allows you to build specific features for that audience. The next thing you want to look at for your niche is to check if it's an expanding niche. Ideally, it's going to be a growing one or one that is extremely popular at the time rather than one that is shrinking. Because if it's shrinking, it's going to be much harder to build products for that as your audience is going to grow smaller and smaller. And a great place to do that is with Google Trends. If we go over to Google Trends here, I've changed the location to worldwide and I've set it to 2004 and present. And so the term I put in here is the Shopify App Store. This will give us an idea of how popular the search term Shopify App Store is and if it's been growing over time. And if we do take a look at the graph here, probably about 2015 is more accurate. You can see it got really popular from 2015 to 2020. This looks like when the pandemic occurred. That was probably much more popular there because a lot of people were opening up Shopify stores. You can see it decreased a little bit, but it has spiked consistently over the last few years. So you can see a lot of people are searching for the App Store, meaning there's a lot of demands for app in the Shopify ecosystem. A good sign if you're looking to build a Shopify app. As you can see, it's just grown quite steadily throughout the years and is still extremely popular. An example of a shrinking niche just in general, it would be apps for Windows phones. Microsoft released their own phone product. And you can see it was popular for a time, but you can see the trend has decreased quite steadily and is really hovering around zero as Windows phones aren't really being sold anymore. But you can just see over time that this isn't going to be something you're going to want to build a SaaS app for, although not really applicable because it is just a broad topic. Concept is the same. The next thing you want to consider for your niche is the audience large enough? So there's going to be a balance between too big and too small. Too big means you're probably targeting too large. You're not going to be able to speak to the customers you want to acquire. But if it's too small, there's not going to be enough people to sell to. So let's say the niche and the audience that you've picked for your product, there's only 10 people in the world who can pay $19 a month for your app. If that's the case, you're going to have a really hard time as a SaaS business, because even if you go and get all 10 people there, you're going to be making $200 a month, which isn't nothing, but it means that your customer base isn't growing and is extremely small. The last thing you want to consider is, do they have money to spend? Who are you targeting in this niche? Is it going to be teenagers who get allowance on a monthly basis? If so, or are you targeting entrepreneurs who are going to make money using your SaaS app? It's going to be much easier to target someone who has larger pockets. This typically means going B2B or some form of that, where you're targeting businesses that are more likely to spend $50, $100, $200 a month on something because they can justify it in possibly how much more money they're going to make, how much money they're going to save, or how much time they're going to save. It's going to be much easier to sell to someone who has the money to spend in the first place. I've heard of examples where SaaS products will offer a plan targeting maybe solo founders or solo entrepreneurs. They'll have a team plan, and then they'll have a business plan. And many businesses just go and hit that business selection anyways without necessarily comparing the features, because if you're an employee at a company, it's not your money. You didn't make that money personally, but if you have a budget to spend, you're going to be way more likely to go and spend that. I know personally, if I'm at the grocery store, I'm looking at different sales. $1 in price makes a big difference sometimes, as I'll just typically go for the cheaper option. But companies are going to be way less price sensitive here. Making sure you're picking a niche that has money to spend is going to make your time selling your SaaS product that much easier. So this concludes the video here on choosing a niche. Hopefully this helps, gives you some concepts when deciding on your niche and audience to target. This video is going to cover 2 different concepts you'll need to consider when thinking of ideas for your SaaS product. The first one of those is going to be create painkillers. So this comes from the phrase painkillers versus vitamins. So products that solve a pressing problem for the user is going to be a painkiller, and those that are nice to have but not essential are going to be vitamins. This goes back to the concept that people don't really take their vitamins. You could have a multivitamin you're supposed to take every day, but it's very easy not to take that, as if you don't take it or you do take it, you're going to notice not a big difference in your day-to-day life. Painkillers, on the other hand, are going to be essential. If you've hurt yourself and you want to get rid of that pain, you'll grab those painkillers, because without them, you could feel very uncomfortable. So for a painkiller SaaS product, it's typically going to be a mission critical one to the user's business, as they're going to address a very specific and pressing need. One of the best examples of a painkiller app is Stripe. Stripe is going to allow businesses to accept payments online very quickly and easily. If you're trying to operate a business online, you need to be able to take payments, as if you don't, you're not going to make any money. So something that's absolutely essential here is going to make the process much easier for marketing your business. As if it's mission critical, it's something they really need, you're going to have a much easier time selling them on why they should be purchasing from you. If it's a must-have, it's going to be much easier to buy than a nice-to-have. Let's take a look at the second idea here, and that's creating a win-win. So the best apps out there create a win-win for both you and your users, meaning a solution that solves a huge pain point that is large enough that they have no problem paying for it. So the win for you is that they pay for your product, and the win for the customer is the benefits they get. If you can focus on something that saves time, saves money, or makes money for the customer, it can be much easier to sell to them. If we take a look at an example, if you're helping someone generate an extra $500 a month in profit, and your app only costs $20 a month, it's a clear reason why they should keep your product and choose your product in the first place. It's why you'll see a lot of apps that help generate sales. They'll provide analytics on how many sales they generated, because really up until the price of how much you're generating for the customer should be willing to pay, as you're going to be making money regardless. Another way to create a win-win is by helping users save time. So let's say a user is saving 10 hours a month, and this person's per hour time is going to be roughly worth $100 per hour. If you're saving them 10 hours a month, it's $1,000 in savings. You could also look at that from an employer to employee perspective. Maybe the employer is buying your software or subscribing to your software on a monthly basis to help their employees save time. You could redo that hourly calculation and say, this is going to be well worth it because of the productivity gains I'm going to get by giving them this software. So those overall 2 ideas are create painkillers, not vitamins, and create win-win scenarios. The win for the customer being things such as saving them time, saving them money, or making them more money. Following these 2 ideas here will make it much easier for you to sell, retain, and profit from your customers. So make sure you keep these in mind when creating your SaaS ideas. Let's talk about the concept of scratching your own itch. So in terms of idea generation, it can be really hard to go out there, search for the communities, find new people to really develop a SaaS idea here that you can actually solve. So the concept of scratching your own itch is solving your own problem. So it's something specific that you know and you understand. So you're essentially building a product to solve that solution. This is a great way to generate ideas for a SaaS product here is you're going to understand the problem. So if you look at someone like Brian Castle, for example, he's the founder of Zip Message. It's a problem on a day-to-day basis when he's communicating with contractors, with employees, or with customers. He wanted to be able to send a video message. So rather than going to Loom, recording a video, then attaching it to an email, he created these one-on-one video conversations where you can have a conversation back and forth using video. This was great because he was his own first customer there. So being your own first customer is good because you're going to be using the product. By using the product, you can then understand what features it might need, what features you might put in to solve your own issue. This is why many companies give free versions to their employees, so the employees can use the product every day. They can see what they might fix as a user, and this gives them more empathy too when they're talking to customers. I know companies such as Lead Pages do this, where they give all their employees free accounts so they can go test products and give feedback to the company based on what they think should be added. Scratching your own itch might also mean that you know other people who have this problem. Maybe you're an e-commerce merchant, you use Shopify or BigCommerce. You're going to be part of those communities. You can go talk to other people in those communities as an actual member rather than an outsider to see if they have the same problem. And if it's something that they're willing to pay for to solve, this can give you great validation in terms of your idea and if it will actually be successful. So in summary, scratching your own itch can be a great way to generate SaaS ideas and solve a problem that you know actually exists, rather than going out and searching for one. So in this video, I want to go over what is your USP or what is your unique selling point or unique position. I'm going to go over several different perspectives here you can have, all of which can help give you an advantage when starting a SaaS product in a specific niche with a specific idea. Let's go to the first one here, and that's going to be what is your unique insight. If you take a look at Brian Chesky, he's the founder and CEO of Airbnb. He had a unique insight that people wanted to rent parts of their home and that people were willing to stay in their homes. If you've heard the story, him and his friend did so by renting out part of their apartment to save up money and make a little bit of money. And he had the same experience when he stayed with someone else. So this was a unique insight not a lot of people had. Many people thought they would be uncomfortable renting out parts of their homes or their whole homes to random strangers online. So that's a unique insight he had, which helped him and his other co-founders build Airbnb. Maybe you have an experience with a new technology. Maybe you're early on the forefront. Maybe you're one of the first people to discover crypto. So back then you maybe could have started a startup. So if you look at today, what unique technology or experiences do you have that others might not be know? You might be super early into a market. There's a good quote by Mark Andreessen that states, "The future is already here, but it's just distributed," meaning that there are pockets of the future available around the world. So how can you take that and use that unique insight to build your own product? Another could be bringing something from a location to another. So maybe you're in one part of the world, you see something that's done really well. You know, there's a lot of talk about group buying that's available in China and bringing that over to North America or Europe, as you've seen some unique insight in another part of the world that's working really well. Maybe it can work well in your own country. This is similar to something like ride sharing, which really blew up around the globe. And there are many different competitors in many different countries. Some companies are just fast copiers where they take a model that's working in one location and they copy it in another one. Having a unique insight can help lead you to create a specialized position in the market. Next, let's talk about unique experience. So similar to unique insight, this one's more the technical side. Do you have a unique experience building something or working with a specific product? Do you have technical skills nobody else has? You might also have a network of people or potential customers. Maybe you're the leader of a community, of a Facebook group, something like that. Maybe you have a popular YouTube channel or social media channel that you can then leverage to use your existing audience. So this leads me to Rob Walling's 4 unfair advantages of a SaaS product. So the first one is to be early. This one's extremely hard to do. This means being super early to a market and building something before everyone else has. Now these waves don't come on very often here, so it is quite hard to be early. You also might not want to be the first here, as many companies are just fast followers of the first ones. You look at Google as a fast follower, or of other search engines, it just happened to be way better and way more accurate there. The next unfair advantage would be who you know. This ties back to the unique experience. Do you have a network of people you can then contact and leverage to help build your product? Maybe you know a lot of engineers who are really good at this technical stuff. Maybe you have a network of really good marketers that can help you out here. Very similar to that is who knows you. Again, do you have a big audience or even a small dedicated audience somewhere that you can use as customers on your initial MVP? The last one would be growth experience. Do you have experience building SaaS products before? I know a lot of you, based on the questionnaire that's initially filled out, haven't built a lot of SaaS products, so this one is less relevant, except if you focus on something such as shipping a product consistently. A lot of people do the 12 startups in 12 months. Where every month they're starting new on a new product, developing it and then shipping it, going through the process of designing the features, building out the features, and then launching it to their audience. Maybe they do it through Twitter. They use tools such as Product Hunt to help get their products out there. But the idea is that you're consistently going through the motions of doing it. You're going to find out what works consistently, what's going to make things faster. Most people only last around 6 months, I think, because it is quite a grueling grind here This one is more of a full-time one as well. Maybe you change the cadence, maybe it's every 3 months. But just going through that process will help you gain growth experience. As maybe you have a multitude of SaaS products that are all generating a few $100s to a few $1,000s a month, and that's going to help build up your portfolio. Small SaaS products also can generally sell for a really high multiple, as so much of the dev work is already put in. So again, if you look at your unique perspective or selling point, you have your unique insights, unique experiences, also your 4 unfair advantages of being early, who you know, who knows you, and growth experience. So in today's video, let's go over idea generation techniques, also how you can find inspiration for your next SaaS app here. The idea generation stage can be pretty difficult as it requires just a lot of searching, a lot of reading, especially if you don't know what you want to start or what niche you're going to be in. It can be quite a difficult process. They always say that execution is more important than the idea, but if you don't have a good idea to begin with, it can make the execution stage extremely difficult. Let's go over my favorite idea generation technique, and then 2 places where you can find inspiration to find new ideas. And so that main technique is going to be called 10 ideas every day. It sounds simple in concept, but what it's going to do, it's going to train your mind to constantly think of new ideas, new angles, and new business opportunities. If you make this a daily habit of generating ideas, you're going to be constantly writing things down just beyond those 10 ideas. And I know that does sound quite simple, but whether you do it morning, afternoon, or nighttime, take a time, pick a niche, pick a category, and just think of 10 ideas. By the 8th, 9th, or 10th one, you're going to be struggling to find new angles, and it's going to force you to really think into a topic. Let's just go through an example here. Let's start with a category. Let's just say TikTok SaaS products. TikTok has been extremely popular recently, and a lot of marketers are going onto the platform. So let's try to generate 10 ideas. I'm going to go through this myself here to see what I can think of. The first one off the bat is just going to be reporting. So giving advanced analytics on how different ads are doing. You can maybe do reporting for organic as well. I'm going to start off quite basic. I'm going to start off quite broad, and then it's going to narrow down a little bit. Next one could be a TikTok ads video maker, especially if you're a dropshipper or something like that. You're probably going to be making quite a few product ads. Next could be a creator marketplace. Maybe you're trying to pair together influencers and brand marketers who are trying to get their products out there. Maybe you create some kind of marketplace where brands can come in and see the different influencers along with different analytics about each influencer and their contact information, making it easy to get access to them. It could be an ad management platform, something to make it easier to create TikTok ads. There are plenty of them available for Facebook and Google, which kind of just encapsulate the interface. They can also do AI scaling with stuff like that, so it takes the work out of the owner's hands. Let's say they're an e-commerce merchant. They don't want to spend all their time creating and managing different advertisements, maybe doing more split tests and getting into like really advanced features here, make it really easy for them to scale up different ads. Maybe you're looking at an auto subtitler, something like that, where a lot of really popular TikTok videos have subtitles with them, as it makes it easy for users to follow along. Maybe you're making a SaaS product where a user can upload a TikTok short, it's going to add subtitles automatically, then export that video content. You can maybe charge per video, you can charge on a monthly basis, something along those lines. Maybe you're looking at a collab platform that between influencers. A lot of influencers, to try to grow their brand, they'll work with other influencers. That's probably a time-consuming process to find other ones maybe in their niche. So there's going to be a collaboration platform where influencers can find other ones. You can maybe charge a higher premium here. If you maybe do some manual work to vet them, you could have some automatic work. Maybe you need 10,000 followers, 100,000 views or something like that to have access to this platform. So it's going to be more elite here. Maybe the next one could be optimization of organic posts. So similar to the reporting to organic and paid, you're going to give very detailed analytics for your organic posts. Maybe they're coming out and saying at this amount of time in the video, you should be adding this. You could base it off a library of other videos to see what's doing well. You can also segment it down by niche here. As I start to get to the 8th one, this is getting a little harder here to think of ideas. Maybe you're looking at a split tester for organic posts. After a person has created a TikTok video, you can upload it to your SaaS platform. It's going to test different variations by splicing content. Maybe you can upload different intros, different outros. It's going to create quite a few different variations. This could be the same for ads as well, if the person has to split up their content accordingly, so you can split test different things. Maybe you're looking at something such as an auto commenter. I'm not sure based on the API if that is possible, but it could be to help larger TikTok influencers engage with their audiences, to comment, to reply. Comments get quite a bit of engagement on TikTok, so this could be a good way to boost audience retention, rather than having to go and manually respond to everyone, which could be quite consuming depending on your audience size. The last note, it could be an auto liker. I've seen quite a few bots on places such as YouTube where they go and comment on different videos to try to get engagement there, so people end up clicking back to their profile, and they do this at a large scale. This could be something along those lines, as long as you're within the TikTok terms of service. And so there's 10 ideas there. It's a great way just to start generating ideas for any specific niche. So now let's go on to two ways and two platforms which you can find inspiration, which are helping to spark different ideas. The first one you've probably heard about is Product Hunt. Every day, new products are released here. You can also do feature updates, but mostly it's just new products here. It's a great way to get one-time exposure. But for you, if you're looking for ideas, it's a great way just to find out what's popular, what people are creating. And so with any of these products, you can simply just go in to see what it is, get an idea of what type of SaaS is here. There are some informational products, but they are mostly SaaS products or software products, but it's a great platform to just see what's out there and what people are creating. Next one is going to be Indie Hackers. I'm sure you've heard of this one as well, but if you head into products here, you can sort by recently updated, the business model, how much revenue they have. It's a great place just to see what other SaaS creators are creating and how much self-reported revenue they have. And so studying these businesses, their pricing, their hooks, their copy, how their software looks, can all be great inspiration for idea generation. Maybe you're taking a look at a larger version of this. You're trying to splice it down, have a specific feature set. Maybe you just want to copy something similar as you've seen it's already worked. These can be great ways to generate new ideas. This is going to end the video here. I'll see you in the next one. Let's go over some more idea generation technique. The first one is going to be translating an existing idea into a new niche. So this idea or concept is taking a general tool and focusing it on a certain vertical. So niching down allows you to target your features and your marketing. So one of the examples we look at is a CRM platform, but it's built exclusively for contractors. So we're taking a very general idea, a CRM tool, and focusing it on a specific niche. This makes it much easier for marketing purposes as you can tailor all your content to contractors rather than trying to target anyone who needs a CRM. This can be great just for any organic content because it can be around contractors. It can be great for outreach because you can only target contractors. It's just great all around to niche down anyways. And you know CRMs are a really useful tool, and these general tools tend to have a lot of validation already. If you're worried of niching down too much, you can always do the land and expand. I mean, the classic example of this is always Amazon. They went and sold books first as they niched down their categories, but they did have the idea that they could sell anything on their website, but they tried books first. Two examples of this would be BidSketch and Builder Prime. Builder Prime is the CRM tool we talked about in the example. And so it's a contractor CRM software suite. And so it has every tool you need to scale your home improvement businesses. As you can see, it's so much more targeted here. They really focused on the specific niche. We can even see in their resources here. And if we look at their blog, a lot of the posts are tailored to contractors specifically, such as how top contractors make a growing consistently look easy, or don't bother with contract estimating software. For our next technique, let's look at entering a large space with hated competitors. So there are a lot of large companies that have really poor service and bad products, but they tend to just be the go-to of the niche or the industry or vertical. A lot of them just have really great sales teams, or they've been around for a long time, so people tend to default for them. You can come in as a fast-moving SaaS with superior user experience, pricing, and support, and start to take away from these existing incumbent competitors. You see this all the time in just about every industry, as they'll focus on a specific niche. Really good analogy I've heard for this is the sword and the shield of startups. The sword is they're attacking a specific vertical or a subsection of customers, and they're attacking quickly before the incumbent can react, as most incumbents take a long time to make decision-making processes, as there's a lot of bureaucracy. The shield is that typically it's not even worth it for these incumbent companies to go and deal with these up-and-coming companies and startups and SaaS businesses, as it's going to be such a small segment of their overall revenue, and that's the shield. So you're going to see this time and time again, and this can be your company as well, or your SaaS product is going in where there's an existing incumbent and taking away a sliver of their customer segment. If we look at some classic examples, Xero did this to QuickBooks and Shopify did this to Yahoo Shopping. And those are obviously some big examples, but very well-known ones. The last technique will be looking at ways you spend money on your day job. So this one is more self-explanatory here. And it's basically if you're an employee at an organization, you can basically take a look around and look at what your company is paying for. Typically, companies just spend your reoccurring bills monthly, and something they don't look at as long as it's providing some value. This is what both Jordan Gall and Derek Reimer did. They both run a podcast as well, Art of Product. If you've ever listened to that, it's excellent. And so for Jordan Gall, he noticed he was paying a lot of money for abandoned cart software at his company. The software wasn't great, so he ended up creating CardHook to address the same problem. I believe he actually sold CardHook a few years ago, but essentially a post-purchase upsell app. And now they're exclusively focusing on Shopify, I believe, and they've already processed over $200 million in revenue on their platform. So there's just a lot of companies there that use it. They've done an excellent job at building this company. as it's grown from just the genesis idea of noticing something where his company was spending money and the software wasn't that great. Derek Reimer built Cvojkadfopot7778888000966. It's a thoughtful way to find a time to meet. So he noticed they were spending money on Calendly every month, and he didn't think that was such a great solution. He thought there should have been a lot more advanced features, as Calendly is a very general booking tool. It does millions and millions of dollars in revenue. Because it's so large and it's so general, it can't have a lot of those specific features that somebody might be looking for. And they talk about that right in the copy here. You'll love it for the advanced features to keep you in control of your calendar, and they'll love it for the personalization scheduling experience. And so those are going to be the people scheduling in your calendar. So that's 3 new idea generation techniques we went over. The first one is to translate an existing idea into a new niche. Second one is entering a large space with hated competitors or large incumbent competitors. The third and final one is to look at ways you spend money on your day job. You don't need to change the world. When you're thinking of a product idea or a SaaS idea, you're going to be influenced by what you read on the news. It's all about these amazing founders who are generating billions of dollars from a young age, probably in their young 20s or early 30s. And these are the founders who are going to change everything. They're working on some exciting new technology, hiring tons of employees, raising lots of money. I'm here to tell you, your idea doesn't need to change the world. You don't need to be a massive company like Facebook with its 2.96 billion users and over $100 billion a year in revenue. If you're here, you're trying to start a business as a solo founder and operator, or a company of one. As those businesses you see on the news, they're on the news for reasons. They're exceptions. 99% of businesses will never get to the billions that they're touting on TV. And you really don't need that. You can still be extremely successful with a smaller business or product. Especially if you're running as a solo founder, you're going to have high margins with SaaS, and you're not going to have any employees that you're going to be paying all your profits to, and you're going to own 100% of the company, meaning you get all the profits that it generates for yourself. All you need is a basic idea that solves a very specific problem for which people are willing to pay. And overall, that's my goal for you in this course. So don't worry about if your idea isn't the next big thing. You don't want it to be that. Rather, you want to build a sustainable SaaS business that generates profit. In this video, I'm going to talk about community searching. So this technique is basically just going into existing communities and looking around for pain points or problems that you could help solve with a possible SaaS product. Now, this is great if you're looking to develop for different platforms, such as Shopify, WooCommerce, Squarespace. All of these have huge and vibrant communities, as well as their own app stores. And so you can take a look through those communities to see if you can find some issues. So to start, let's take a look at WooCommerce here. So WooCommerce is an e-commerce platform that is quite popular, and they have a really large Facebook group. So if you go to their website here, you can get a link to join the Facebook community. And so I've joined here. We can see they have over 50,000 members and quite a bit of discussion around WooCommerce. I spent 2 to 5 minutes here just looking around. Now I can see one issue that has 5 likes and 11 comments. And it's this person looking specifically for a solution to their issue. And so they're looking for a plugin, as a store owner should be able to place a product in the shopping cart basket, just like a normal web shop user can do. And in the checkout field, the store owner can fill in the client credentials. And at the last stop, the store owner can press a button to send a quote instead of the pay button here. So it says 5 likes so far. If we take a look through the comments, see there are some existing apps, but they don't fully fulfill the service here. So it's maybe a possible plugin you can develop. Another one here is a paid project. They're looking for someone to add multiple authors to a WooCommerce product. They tried all the available plugins and some custom code, but they're still having issues. Maybe this is another product that more people have an issue with as well, and it could be a possible product to build there. There's another person asking if there's a plugin that would enable them to have various size product cards on the same product page listed. If not, they're looking how to build it here. They have a description of this. No one's commented on this over the last day, but maybe this is a problem other people are having. Something you could do as well is maybe build a custom solution for this person if they're willing to pay. But you could put it in the terms of service that you can then resell this solution to other WooCommerce merchants. Overall, after just a few minutes of scrolling here, there are tons of problems being posted just in this one Facebook community alone. If you're using Shopify's community here, if you're planning to build a Shopify app, there's tons of posts and discussions here that you can take a look to see if there is an opportunity to build something that people are looking for. Overall, it's a great way just to find existing problems that people have without having to necessarily think of them yourself. If you're not sure where to find communities where you can search for these issues, places to go would be Facebook groups, Reddit, Discords. You can search on Twitter for trending hashtags around that niche. You can also go to company sites there. A lot of company sites have Q&A forms. Quora is also a great place to find questions and answers. Overall, it's just going to take some Googling here. You can also pose these questions to a community as well to say, hey, would you pay for this product? I've done the same thing. I looked at developing a WooCommerce plugin once, and the response I got was basically, no, we don't need it. we have an existing solution. And that saved me a lot of time there trying to validate the idea. So this is going to conclude the video here. So a great way to generate ideas is to go through communities and find existing problems that merchants, owners, or users of any product are already having. This is great if you're looking to develop on a platform as well, as you can see a lot of issues that you might not have thought of.